yes. What up? It's that time. PoGokeRo Pirate Broadcast. Oh, with yet another informative, enlightening episode of Minecraft and stream of consciousness and slides and whatnot. You're gonna dig it, I guarantee. But first, allow me to to get myself situated, because this is super loud in my ear, even if it's not loud over there. So we're just gonna hope I can adjust this enough where I can hear it and you can hear it and everyone's happy. Okay, so I'm in my mind, right? This is a kind of pathetic mind. No, because I haven't really done much. But hey, check it out. I'm mining chunks, so maybe I should continue to do that. So I got this chunk. This is the next chunk. Sugi chunk. It's already half done. Look at that. All right. So let's just continue from here. Okay. So yeah, what has happened today? Oh my kindred. Oh my wonderful people. The none of which who are watching. What is it that I'm doing for you? Okay. And someone was watching and now no one's watching. Okay. So today Donald Trump has already been impeached, right? He was impeached while he was president. He was impeached. And then today the articles of impeachment were delivered to the Senate. So that means the Senate has 24 hours to do its thing. Okay, so an objection came up. During the proceedings. It was an objection from Rand Paul. Do you know who Rand Paul is? Rand Paul is a senator from Kentucky. Okay, remember that. Rand Paul is a senator from Kentucky. Okay, and in July 4th of 2018, I believe it was 2018, Rand Paul, along with 7 other senators, were in Moscow on the 4th of July. Yep. So who's the other senator from Kentucky? Why, that's Mitch McConnell. Okay, so Rand Paul, who's obviously working for Russia, is objecting to the impeachment, or to the trial that's going to take place. He doesn't want to try Donald Trump. Rand Paul, senator for Russia, doesn't want to try Donald Trump. So they had a vote to see, all right, well, are we gonna go, forward with trying Donald Trump or not, because of this objection? And 45 Republican senators were with Rand Paul and said, no, we don't want to go forward with this. Wow, 45 Republican senators don't want to impeach or don't want to try Donald Trump for insurrection. 45 Republican senators who were there as Donald's mob came storming into the Capitol. They had to be evacuated, these 45 senators, right? So they know who was there and what was going on. They're fully aware of what happened. They were absolutely there. They were aware that there was a mob out to kill them and their cohorts. And they voted not to hold Donald Trump accountable for that. Not even to put him on trial. Not even to try him. Not even to find out, right? They don't even want to find out what he did or what was responsible. They don't want to try the facts. They don't want to. They refuse. Wow. 45 Republican senators. And then they're led by the senator, Rand Paul, who was in Moscow on the 4th of July in 2018. Wow. That sounds like they're A-OK with sedition against the United States. and insurrection against the United States. You know who else was okay with insurrection against the United States? The Confederates. You know who else is okay with insurrection against the United States? The Russians. So you gotta know that during the Civil War, the Confederacy was working with Great Britain, with England, to get supplies. England was going to ship them some stuff. And the only reason it didn't work out was because the United States maintained a blockade around the South. So they couldn't receive any shipments from other countries. Because other countries, the enemies of the United States, are happy to supply the Confederates. Sure, we'll supply the Confederates, said England. Oh, you want to hurt the United States, our former colony? You want to weaken our former colony? And you want our help to do it so that you're beholden to us? Said Great Britain, said to the Confederacy. Okay, said Great Britain, said England. Okay, we will help you out, Confederacy. We will help you defeat the United States. And in return, you'll be friends with us, right, Confederacy? And the Confederacy said, yep, sure, Great Britain, or sure, England, we both hate the same thing, the United States. So of course we'll do this. And the only reason why it didn't work out was because the United States maintained a blockade all around the southern coast, so that no shipments, no external forces, arms, goods, whatever, could get to the south, and they got starved out. I mean, that's essentially what happened, is that they had the passion in the beginning, but they're an agrarian society. They had no factories, no nothing. So they were not in it for the long haul. They had to win quick, and they didn't, so... But, what was I saying? Okay, so just like the Confederacy back in the first Civil War enlisted the help of our enemies, of the United States, to help them in their insurrection and in their rebellion, so too have the insurrectionists, the Confederates today, as espoused by Rand Paul, have enlisted the help of the enemies of the United States in order to defeat her. So that's the nature of treason, right? That's the nature of betrayal. That's why it's such a bad crime that should be punished by death, because you're literally working with our enemies to overthrow us. It's like you're stabbing your brother in the back. Literally, that's what you're doing. Your country folk, your fellow compatriot. You're stabbing them in the back, and helping the enemies. Like, and do you think Russia's gonna be nice to you, Confederacy, Republicans? Do you think the Russians care about you at all? They will destroy you just as they destroyed the United States. Even if you were to somehow win, right? Even if you were to somehow win and destroy the United States and take control and have the Confederacy rule, even if you were able to do that, do you think that Russia would help you at all? Dude, Russia would take advantage of you. Russia would know everything about you and would undermine everything about you and destroy you. Of course they would, of course. They have no love for you. They have none. I can't believe you would think any different. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I mean, the Russian people are one thing, right? But I'm talking the Russian government, right? Which is really a big mafia state. It's not even a government. It's a big mafia. So yeah. Mining away here, mining away. So yeah, it's pretty clear now that we have enemies of the United States, the Confederates, the rebels, the insurrectionists, whatever you want to call them, the second, whatever, the white supremacists, the Nazis. They're all allying with Russia to overthrow our country. And it's obvious because they tried, and then when they failed and we tried to bring the guy to justice, they're like, no, it's cool. He's with us. Oh, I see. So you're with the insurrection. Okay. So that someone, I don't know who, I missed it on Twitter, but someone brought up a really good point, right? This is good because before we can move forward with an impeachment, with the trial for Donald Trump, we have to get rid of the insurrectionists, of the seditionists, of those senators who are obviously on the side of sedition and on insurrection, right? Because they cannot be impartial, right? If they're on the side of the insurrection, they can't be impartial. They cannot serve the United States. If they want to overthrow the United States, they cannot serve the United States. They cannot be a senator. They can't take part in this trial. They are not impartial, right? So you need to get rid of those senators before we do anything else. And once you get rid of those senators, and I don't know how many you have to get rid of, maybe a huge swath of them, but once you get rid of them, then it's possible to convict Donald Trump of the very obvious crime of inciting a rebellion, insurrection, in an attempt to overthrow the government and the will of the people. It's very obvious, and the trial will show it. Will prove it. Will prove it beyond a doubt. But when the vote comes, we already know which of those senators. We already know which of those senators said, no, it's cool. I'm down with insurrection. I'm okay with overthrowing the United States. We already know who those are. Right? The 45 who already voted not to hold Donald Trump accountable. Those are the ones who ought to be expelled from the Senate. Honestly, if they're not going to defend the Constitution, they need to not be there. They've broken their oath, right? That was a mortal threat to our Constitution. And if they don't hold the person who orchestrated it accountable, that means they're not defending the Constitution. And that means they cannot serve. Easy. Then a conviction becomes a lot more possible. And then I don't understand why criminal proceedings haven't happened. Maybe it's because Donald Trump pardoned everybody and quashed all the investigations into him while he had control of the Justice Department. That could have been it. Billy Barr, maybe Billy Barr killed all the investigations into Donald Trump. Entirely possible. Because I fully expected Donald Trump to be in an orange jumpsuit by the end by January 21st. I expected him to be in prison. I can't believe that he flew home. That's ridiculous. The dude's a traitor who just the other week instigated an insurrection against the United States. Oh my God, he probably funded it. He probably bankrolled it. It's absurd. It's absurd. Why would you let him go? I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. I don't comprehend. See, look at this nifty thing here. Oh my God, I don't have to even think about it. Except these slimes, right? Oh. Yeah, we're the insurrection is not over. It is not over. The coup attempt is not over. The coup is ongoing. And Donald Trump hasn't just tried one way to stage a coup. He's tried multiple ways to stage the coup. He first tried to get a military coup by invading all of the American cities. Remember during Black Lives Matters, during the protests, he tried to, and they wouldn't do it. And so he got DHS to do it instead, to Portland or whatever. It was dumb. It was so stupid. And then he tried to claim victory the very, very first night of the election when they were still counting the votes. And he said, you know what? It doesn't really matter what they vote. I'm claiming victory. Ah! And everyone's like, no, you can't do that. But then he spent the next forever trying to take victory, trying to seize power. He would never accept that he lost the election. He would never accept it. He lost all his court cases. He has no proof, no nothing. But he keeps saying it, and his dumb army of brainwashed zombies goes along with it because they're brainwashed, because they're zombies. And they're fed by the mothership, which is like right-wing media. That just creates more drones. Oh my goodness. I just went off. Well, yeah, dude. I can't believe 45 senators refused to hold Donald Trump accountable for insurrection. That means, like, you can go out there and look and see, like, which people... I mean, really, if you're a Republican, that pretty much means you're an insurrectionist at this point. There's only 5 Republican senators voted to hold Donald Trump accountable. Only 5. And I think Murkowski is not even a Republican. I think she's independent by this point. So when like 90% of your party is pro-insurrection, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. It means 90% of your party is against the U.S. Constitution. Well, I cleared another chunk. Should I do one more chunk? Well, here, I'm gonna go one chunk. Is it even a full chunk? Oh, it's a big chunk. Yeah, this is like a lot to even this one out. Oh, here, GF3. Oop. Okay. Well, that's the other thing I want to talk about. Hey, I just remembered. Okay. So remember, here's like my little model, right? Here's my model. And here's the rule of law, and this is the shape of society. And under fascism, the shape of society is a pyramid. No innovation, but it's very stable. It's in the shape of the pyramid. And there are people who are under the law, but are not protected by the law, and people who are above the law, but are not subject to the law. They can ignore the law, but they're protected by the law. Right? So and then all the wealth and power is taken from the bottom and shoved to the top, concentrated at the top. And this design is fascism. And over here, you have socialism, where everyone is on the same level in relation to the law. No one is above the law. Everyone is equal. Everyone's at the same level to the law. And wealth and power are not concentrated at the top, but spread out. They're shared. It's shared. It's spread out. So that it's not stuck in any one place. It's everywhere. And not one person controls it. It's everyone's. So shared wealth would be like everyone having healthcare, because then everyone's healthy, right? And that's wealth that's shared by everyone. Shared wealth is like infrastructure. Like if everyone had if we had basically free internet, like with no caps, like wouldn't that be great for everyone? But then we'd have to figure out a way to get it to the rurals. So we still have room for innovation. But anyways, there's lots of ways we can dilute the wealth and power into society. But that's the basic model, is that socialism everyone's equal and under like liberalism, everyone, like the idea of rule of law means that everyone is equal before the law. But the idea of the rule of power means that if you have the power, you're above the law. Like, so the law means nothing under the rule of power. So we like to hold ourselves as being under the rule of law. And then I was talking about, okay, well, what's the compromise between socialism, where you distribute all the wealth and power into the people, and fascism, where you concentrate all the wealth and power into the top? Well, I said the middle point would be liberal democracy. I don't have, where you allow for some concentration of wealth and power, and then but you ameliorate the very worst of capitalism, so that the worst of it doesn't hurt, the worst of it doesn't come to afflict the weakest people at the bottom. And that way you shunt some of the money from the top back to the bottom. And like, it worked for a while, right? Look at the tax rate under Eisenhower was astronomical for if you were wealthy. And that's how they funded a lot of the infrastructure. That's how they built the interstate highway system. Until then, roads were ridiculous. Let me tell you, I've lived in Japan, and in Japan, you can tell the parts of the city that were built like in the old times, and then the parts that are newer or have been rebuilt. Because the old parts of the city are stupid narrow, ridiculous. The roads go like everywhere in all sorts of crazy directions. Like it's just madness. It's madness, and they're super narrow, and like, oh gosh, it's awful. And then you come to find out, well, that's because it's so old that it wasn't designed that way. It was just it was just a footpath that people took. And then someone set up a cart there one day, right? And so people walked around it. And then someone set a cart on the other side, so people walked around that. And then that path became like the path. And then they just built around it, that path. I forgot why I started talking about the path. But infrastructure. Yeah, so Japanese roads are like awful. They're awful. They go in all sorts of crazy directions. And American roads were like that too, back in the day. I mean, they still are, I guess, if you don't follow like the highways and stuff. If you follow the old roads. But it was just like a crazy patchwork. You couldn't actually go straight anywhere. It was always going like down this way, then up this way, and then go that way, and then this way. Then, like, yeah. It wasn't until Eisenhower that they devised an interstate highway system where you could go straight, where traffic could flow straight through. It was straight flow, straight traffic. It was like a dream to drive in. It'd be so much fun to drive in. And in Japan, it's a pain in the butt to drive in because the roads are all over the place, so crazy. And they're not very big. The roads are tiny in Japan. So yeah, if we can get our infrastructure back up, it will feel a lot better. That's another way of injecting money back into the bottom, right? That's wealth shared by everyone, because that infrastructure is used by merchants to move their goods. If you didn't have the interstate highway system, then we wouldn't have as easy of a way of distributing goods as we do now. Like the social good is awesome. The investment in society is magnified tenfold. Well, I don't know how many fold, but it's magnified. It grows a lot, right? If you invest in society, it grows a lot. So the problem was that we had this New Deal, right? Because the whole of the 20th century was a clash between either socialism or fascism, and the compromise was liberal democracy. They would ameliorate some of the suffering. But sometime in the 1970s, that deal got broken, and there was a decoupling between wages, between increases in productivity and increases in wages. It used to be as productivity increased, wages would match the increase. But in the 1970s, that got decoupled. Productivity increased, but wages stayed flat. And they've been flat since the 1970s. Like, you can check it. I'm not making this up. So you can also trace, and that correlates with a whole bunch of other declines that correlates with a whole bunch of other like declines in government expenditures. College got more expensive, healthcare got more expensive, home ownership got more expensive, started to get more expensive. Like from the 1970s, everything started going haywire because they decoupled. They broke the deal. They broke the New Deal. We had a deal. The New Deal was you would ameliorate some of the excesses of capitalism, and we would allow you to accumulate wealth and power. Well, why would they break the deal at that time? What would cause them to break the deal at that time? Because eventually they got to a point where they had enough wealth, they had accumulated enough wealth and power that they could break the deal, right? The reason why you don't want to concentrate wealth and power is because then you can, if you have too much wealth and power, you can corrupt government. And if you corrupt government, you can pass laws to make it easier for you to accumulate wealth and power. And so it's like a bad cycle. It's a negative, well, not negative feedback, but it's like a feedback loop. Like, if you allow wealth and power to concentrate, it'll get to the point where it's strong enough to corrupt government. And if it corrupts government, then it can continue to concentrate wealth and power. And then you're back to where you started before that began the whole war between socialism and fascism, right? Because it comes to a point where in order to keep accumulating wealth and power, you need to ditch democracy and move to full-on fascism. That's the only way to do it. So, and again, this is opposite. This whole thing is opposite of socialism, which is you put all the money and wealth and power into the people via high wages or guaranteed income, even guaranteed healthcare, guaranteed housing, infrastructure, guaranteed connection to the internet, because nowadays it's essential. Sorry, it's like saying electricity would be like optional. No, electricity is not optional. Electricity, like power is like should be a human right. We're like, it's ridiculous how much wealth that we have, and and it's not being like distributed fairly. I can't believe it. It's just ridiculous. So like, I'm all for liberal democracy if you can figure out a way to stop these massive accumulations of wealth and power. One way you could do it is you just bake it in, right? You bake in like 100% tax over $1 billion. If you have net wealth of over $1 billion, you have to sell it and you have to get rid of it and then donate that stuff to charity, or we'll tax it. Like, that's one way, right? That way no one will ever accumulate wealth and power. If no one will ever accumulate so much wealth and power that they can overpower and corrupt the government. Like, that's one way you can do it. I mean, like, I don't. So here's the other thing. I saw a meme on Facebook, and it was talking, and the meme it was the Lord of the Rings. Boromir this is at the Council of Elrond. They brought the one ring to Elrond to like figure out what to do. And Boromir has the ring, and is thinking, hey, we can harness the ring and like bend it to our will. And Aragorn's like, no, we can't. It's too strong. Let's just destroy it. And then they replace it, and they change it, and it's Bernie. And Bernie says, we can harness the power of liberalism and bend it to our will. And then Aragon is the socialist, like hammer sickle sign. And it says, no, it's too powerful. It will only serve capitalism. You must destroy it. And I'm over here thinking, you know what? That's not what Marx said. Like, I'm not a huge, awesome scholar on Marxism. And like, I haven't totally studied Marx in a long time. But from what I understood of Marx is he said that each stage of development is necessary. That you had to go through it. You couldn't cheat your way past it. In order, like, each stage of consciousness was preceded by a development of productive forces. If you didn't have the productive capacity or productive force, you couldn't achieve the consciousness. You couldn't achieve that kind of consciousness. You know, you couldn't be aware of it. If you didn't have the material conditions, you can't be aware. That's what he's about. That's what it means to be a materialist. If the material conditions aren't there, it's not going to happen. Like an idealists are not like, idealists believe that the impetus begins with the idea, and that once you have the spirit, the idea, that propagates throughout the world and enacts change throughout the world. The idea by itself, but that's not quite the way of thinking about it. There's another way of thinking about it, because Marx will say no, that doesn't work, because the idea doesn't do anything. It's just like the idea is literally just an idea. It literally doesn't do anything to the material world. Everything is based on the material world. Everything. Like, you cannot have your idea if you don't reproduce yourself to wake up the next morning, right? In order to reproduce yourself the next morning, you have a particular relation to the material world. Like, you have to sell your labor. Either that, or you have so much wealth that you don't have to sell your labor. But then your consciousness is different. Right, so it's your relation to the material world. So okay, so Russia tried to cheat. the USSR, I should be mining. Russia tried to cheat. Russia tried to go from agrarian, because that's what they were. They were like a feudal society. Before World War II, they were before World War II, they were a feudal society. And then there was the Bolshevik Revolution in the middle of World War I or World War II, I forget exactly what. They had a revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution. And that's when they went from agrarian under a czar, like feudal society, and they tried to skip capitalism and go straight to socialism. They tried. And by golly, they did amazing. Like, they were poor as all hell. They were super poor. And they did amazing. They greatly reduced poverty. They also murdered like millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like Stalin was a good guy. Like, no way. Stalin, like, it wasn't really communism at that point, right? It was authoritarian. I guess you can say it was socialism, but it was authoritarian socialism, and that's like no good. That's no better than fascism, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I mean, it's still fascism. It's just like in a different direction. Anyways, but like, if you overlook the purges and the massive amounts of suffering and death and oppression, they greatly improved the quality of life for the peasant. The peasant came out ahead. The Russian peasant came out ahead. When the peasant turned from a peasant to a proletariat, a lot of times they came out better. Their health improved. and a bunch of other stuff improved. But they lacked the productive capacity development that you get with capitalism. Capitalism is an amazing thing. It's the best thing to come along so far, right? In terms of productive capacity. So far, like it's not the end all be all, but it's the best thing so far. And like, yeah, its productive capacities are amazing, are immense. Look at the giant projects that we've done. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible the amount of advancements that have been done under capitalism. So, and what Marx is saying is that couldn't have been done any other way. You could not have done it under socialism because you couldn't have gotten there. You can't get to socialism until you have the productive capacity development. Develop the productive capacity, and the only place you develop productive capacity is in the mode you're in. If you're in capitalism, that's where you're going to develop your capacity. Like, there's no other way to do it. You can't develop socialist productive capacity, like, until you have the capitalist productive capacity. So what does that mean? Like, this is all I'm tying this all together, because what this is coming down to. So for the next example is the internet. The internet is amazing, and I don't know if people. I mean, lots has been said about how amazing is the internet. Like, and David Bowie, I think, perhaps was like the most prescient in terms of how transformative it was going to be. But the internet has allowed our human consciousness, like, has connected humans from around the world to one another through like virtually instantaneous communication, sharing memes and TikTok videos and stuff like that. Like, that's amazing. Plus it is like brought into awareness the great suffering of many people, and changed the consciousness of a lot of people. But it couldn't have happened any sooner, not until the internet was invented. And the internet, like, wasn't here until it was invented. And where was it invented? It was invented under capitalism. So because of this now shared consciousness, this expanded consciousness now that we have with one another, it's like a social neural network. It's like we have a nervous system on the social level now that we didn't have before. Like, we had the rudimentary beginnings with like the Pony Express and the telegram and stuff and the telephone, but like it's becoming more and more like bigger and bigger and bigger. And because of this, now we have this consciousness and awareness. But the idea could not have come until the material conditions were there for it. So it's like a back and forth, right? Like, you can also say, well, the internet wouldn't have happened if there wasn't the idea for it. If someone didn't think of connecting all these computers to one another, if someone didn't have this idea of networking, it wouldn't have happened. Okay, yeah, you're right. So what this says now is that it's more than just materialism or idealism. It's more like a dialectic. It's a continuous loop where you act upon the environment, on the material world, and you transform the material world, and then in turn the material world acts upon you and transforms you, and then you work that out internally, and then you come back out here and you act upon the world, and it's like a feedback loop. But so it's like evolution, I guess you can say, because no, the eyeball couldn't exist until the precursor of the eyeball existed. Like it was necessary to have the precursor of the eyeball before the eyeball could be developed. And the eyeball will continue to develop. Who knows in which directions natural selection will push it. Who knows? Maybe it's no longer natural selection. Maybe we've advanced to the point where we can select it ourselves. Like, everyone talks about like cybernetics, and I'm like, man, who wants to be a cyborg? Cyborgs are the worst. Like, why would you ever want to be a cyborg? Because that means literally cutting off your body and replacing it with a machine that you can't feel. Like, maybe they can replace nerves with like another kind of feeling, but it would be like another kind of weird feeling. It would be foreign. It would be foreign. It would not be natural. It'd be foreign. It'd be artificial. That's why I'm all about gene splicing and bioengineering stuff. To me, that's where it's at. When it's grown naturally and it feels like a part of you, that's when it's like, yeah. Forget this bionic stuff. I want the real deal. I want the flesh. I want all the sensations, the natural sensations. Okay, so So I can almost see Donald as being necessary. That we had to go through Donald in order to have the consciousness to achieve multiracial democracy. The necessary physical or material conditions. That's an easy way out, right? That's like, whatever. La la la. What's this other thing I can do? I mean, I haven't even looked at my slides yet. Oh, spider. Or not spider, bad guy. Yeah, I need to light it up. All right. Okay. Yeah, I haven't even looked at my slides, but that's because I'm like digging. This is cool. I like this music. It's all like spacey. Woo, spacey. And spacey music reminds me of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I saw the third one, Face the Music, and that was like a feel-good movie. I mean, like, yeah, like if I had kids, I would maybe appreciate it more, but I don't have kids, so like I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it's like to be like my age and a dad. Okay. Oh no. But I have no kids. I'm not a dad. Maybe that's why I am the way I am. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that spacey like music. Cool. I like it. Outer space. Okay, so what other topics do I want to talk about? I can go look on Twitter real quick. But mainly, so Biden apparently signed an order to halt deportations for 100 days, to stop all the deportations for 100 days until he gets a grip on things. And everyone's like, yay! And then a federal judge in Texas, wrote an order and overruled Biden and said no. Someone filed like a temporary restraining or injunction or whatever to temporarily stop it. And a Texas judge granted it, and the judge was put there by Donald Trump. So that means that someone said, "Oh, it's too dangerous to stop deportations now. Why don't we go ahead and keep it going until we figure this out?" So someone is so hurried to deport brown people that they went to court to force to make it happen. Like, oh geez, like that level of hate, I just can't understand. But I guess I can. I'm trying to explain it to other people. Like, man, that's like white. That's some Nazi level stuff. Like, holy crap. Right? Like, geez, that's like spite levels of hate. Like, I'm gonna hate you even if it kills me type stuff. Like, oh, why would someone be like that? So it snowed today, like 3 inches in Salem, and like it's madness out there. I had to help the mailman get his truck out of the parking lot. It was funny. I'm not going anywhere. I got food. I have enough food. I'm all right. I've got top ramen. I got rice. I got canned foods. I'm okay for like a day until it melts. It might be a couple days though, because it's gonna freeze tonight. So I don't know. But if I have to, I can walk like to like Safeway. It's not that far. But yeah, I'm hearing all the cars like just having a miserable time out there. 3 inches may not sound like a lot, but when, you know, Salem never gets snow, like once a year maybe, once every 3 years. And it dumped today. It was weird. Well, 3 inches is dumping for us. But yeah. Ugh. Dude, I didn't go through any of my slides. And how long have I been going for like an hour? Almost an hour. Let me finish this chunk and then we'll get into slides. But I talked my piece about the Confederate traitors in the Senate. Man, that's wild. We can't have a trial until we get rid of those senators who are obviously who are obviously not on the side of the United States. We can't be having those people inside the Senate anymore, or really in Congress. But it's so weird. I don't know. It's just like how have we gotten in this kind of situation? I guess people just didn't want to believe that the Confederates were real, that they really came back. Like they just didn't want to believe it. But here they are. They're like trying to overthrow the government. Like it's just slow motion. They're doing it all the time. It's like you can't govern with people who don't want to govern with like at all, who want to overthrow your government. But so like if it were just like a simple case of stating the facts, it would be easy. But you have to remember the base for the Republicans are a bunch of brainwashed Nazis. And like you can't talk to them. There's no talking to them. That's why I keep saying we have to put the coup leaders on trial, and if they're guilty, give them the penalty of death. Like, the death penalty is never used on the rich and powerful in this country. It's only used on the poor and weak. Like, and it's dumb. It shows me who's really in power. Alrighty then. We got a bunch of bricks that slip through. That's weird. I wonder why. Look at that. All these bricks slip through. Why? Why do you lag? Like, I don't understand. See, you know, like why? Why didn't you go in? Okay, well, enough of this. Let's go up top for a second. All right. Oh. Let's see what I got here. Man, I'm tired. Right? Ain't that the truth though, huh? Wait. There we go. So we can see the guy who drew it. You gotta see the guy who drew it. Give credit. Son, get out of there. It's not normal to sit in a box of sadness all day long. Oh man. Oh man. I'm not sure why Democrats don't play Republicans' game on messaging. When the right complains of cancel culture and muzzling, all Democrats have to say is that Republicans are experts at canceling people, their votes, their voices, by making it harder to vote and delegitimizing election results. Yeah, what's more cancel culture than an insurrection? Keep doing a quick mental audit and being like, why do I have this ambient sense of dread and anxiety? And then I'm like, oh right, the pandemic that's killed 400,000 people and destroyed normal daily life and American democracy, barely escaping an assassination attempt. It's probably that. You're right. Last time Trump was impeached for trying to cheat in his election, he was acquitted and escaped accountability. So what happened next? He tried to steal his election and subvert our democracy. Without accountability, it allows for it to happen, again, by Trump or by someone else. If you don't put down the insurrection by punishing people, it just happens again. We are witnessing the largest underreaction to a violent insurrection led by a sitting president in the history of humankind, folks. It's because the Republican Party, Trump, are experts at one thing: denying the premise of reality and convincing people anti-government is government. I agree. It's super important that people understand what is happening, what is at stake here. What's up, buddy? Let me ask you a question. This is good, right? Do y'all realize America is privatizing and outsourcing COVID vaccinations because it won't fully fund and actively defunds public health? Right? This is neoliberalism. It's giving tax money to private industry to perform services that should be publicly owned and operated. It creates a host of problems because private industry will always be profit-driven instead of driven by public interest. This is the dynamic that's killing us. So let me, for example, that's what I should have. I need to go back down. I forgot. So to get back to my example here of liberal democracy, right? I told you the solution, the compromise, was liberalism. The compromise was liberalism. You take money from the top and you put it back down in the bottom. Okay, but neoliberalism is different. Neoliberalism is that same idea, but the difference is under liberalism, you use the government to put money from the top into the bottom. Under neoliberalism, the government pays a corporation to come in and do the job. And so the corporation is given a task. It says, do this task. And the corporation says, okay, the government says, do this task, and we will pay you X amount of money. So the corporation looks at this and says, okay, I need to find a way to do this task for less than X amount of money, because all that extra I can keep as profit. So as long as I fulfill this task, any money I don't spend on fulfilling the task, I can keep. So necessarily, it makes the job worse. You just do a worse job at fulfilling the task, because the goal is not to fulfill the task. The goal is to fulfill the task under the money that was given to make a profit. The goal is the profit. It's not the task. Whereas if you work for government, the goal is the task. Right? That's what you believe in. You believe in serving the people. You believe in it, so you're doing it. And they pay you for it. But neoliberals are like, we're going to give a business the money, and the business will do it. Because the business will do it for cheaper. Well, the business doesn't do it nearly as well. It fails. And that's why you get such anger at people like Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton and, well, I guess any of the centrists, that would include Joe Biden, I guess, right? if you try to outsource your the functions of government to business, that's neoliberalism, and it's not good, because that concentrates wealth and power. It doesn't help the people. It concentrates wealth and power, and it moves you back toward fascism. That's why neoliberalism is a fail, because it's market oriented. It looks at the market to solve these problems. And that means it serves the interests of the market, not the interests of the people. All right. So someone said, I think we have lost the respect to have a different opinion. But that is false, right? That's false. To think like that, to say, oh, we've lost the ability to disagree. No. It's not that. Agree to disagree is reserved for things like, I don't like coffee, or I like chocolate ice cream, or I like vanilla ice cream. That's difference of opinions. Or my favorite sports team is whatever. Like, that's difference of opinion. But not racism, not homophobia, not sexism, not human rights, not basic common decency, right? Those are not up for debate. It's not a question of opinion if gay people should be allowed to be married. They're humans. They're adults. They're allowed to do whatever they want. If they want to get married, they should be able to get married. Yeah, it's not about yeah. It's human rights. It's not one opinion or the other. Like between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, it's not just, oh well, they're the same, it doesn't matter, it's just your opinion. No, there's a world that exists outside of you. There's an independent world that exists outside of the person. And in this independent world, there are things that are and things that are not. No matter what you say, it won't change the fact that there are things that are and things that are not, regardless of your opinion of them. Your opinion could be that the world is flat, but it doesn't matter what your opinion is. It's wrong. It's wrong. It has no value. This guy, Emmanuel Jackson, black Trump supporter who aided in the Capitol attack, will be held until trial, unlike some of the white Capitol rioters. Some of them have been released via house arrest or have been given special treatment, like organic food, while in lockup. Be clear, Emmanuel should be locked up, but so should everyone else who participated in the riot with him. Right? This guy teamed up with Team Trump, and he got treated the way Team Trump treats black people. What did he expect? Oh yeah, dude, look at this. This is craziness. This is crazy. Look at this. Look at this. Oregon GOP condemns betrayal by the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach President Trump. So, Oregon Republicans are saying that they're on board with the insurrection, and they are angry at the Republicans who are not on board with the insurrection. So, Renato Mariotti said, the Oregon Republican Party falsely calls the attack on the Capitol a false flag operation by Democrats, comparing it to the Reichstag fire that contributed to Hitler's rise to power. Senate Republicans, if you don't vote to convict, you're encouraging these falsehoods. They just encouraged these falsehoods. They agreed with the insurrection, right? Everything is screaming at you that the Republicans are the Confederates reborn. Everything is telling you this. Everything. They are on board with the insurrection. They do not want to govern. They want to overthrow our country. Everything is telling you this. Everything. When a coup attempt goes unpunished, it becomes a training exercise. You have to crush the coup. It must be crushed. Oh, not this one. Because Biden had a great phone call with Putin about all the big issues. The hacking, Belarus, the bounties that are on troops in Afghanistan, the everything, which is good. Oh yeah, Biden reiterated American support for democratic Ukraine, which is great. So yeah, that one's not up. That one's not up. What's this? Joe Biden called President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, the Mexican president, to talk about the Northern Triangle. So the Northern Triangle, the reason why people are fleeing, so Donald Trump created this big mess. He stopped aid to a lot of countries in South and Central America. When that aid stopped, that allowed the governments, collapsed, their programs collapsed, and gangs rise up and take power, right? Because you can't, if you don't have a very strong government, then bandits start roaming the countryside. That's just the way it is, right? I don't know if you didn't know that, but yeah, if you don't have a strong government, bandits will fill the vacuum. Without a government, bandits will fill the vacuum and become despots. So there's these countries in South and Central America that are collapsing. And so the people there are fleeing, and they're coming to the United States to flee their collapsing countries. It's not that they want to leave, right? Who wants to leave their home where they know everyone and everything, where everyone speaks their language, where their culture is their own? Who wants to leave that? No one wants to leave their country, and start a brand new life somewhere else for no reason. There has to be a super compelling reason to make you want to leave. And that compelling reason is often death or poverty. But death by the hands of gangs, or death by the hands of starvation because your crops aren't growing anymore because of climate change, or corruption because your government has no money anymore, so the officials want bribes everywhere. I don't know. But Donald Trump stopped supporting these other countries, and because of that lack of support, that increased immigration to the United States. So you got to think about Frank's theory of the development of underdevelopment. Oh man, why are all these countries poor in South America? What happened there? Why are they poor and the United States and Europe are rich? Why? How did that happen? Was that by accident? No, it wasn't by accident. It's a big machine. and it was explored by this guy, Andre Gunder Frank. He came up with this idea called the theory of underdevelopment. So the theory of underdevelopment says that countries aren't just made to be poor and made to be rich, and that's just the way it is. That kind of disparity in wealth is cultivated. It's created. You have to make it, and the way you make it is you take resources and wealth from the periphery, the faraway places, and you pull them into the core. And then once it's at the core, you can process it, refine it, and then sell it back out again to your peripheries. So it's a continual process. You have to underdevelop a country. It's not just that they're poor, it's that they're underdeveloped. Their wealth is actively being taken out from them. Not that they're just undeveloped. They're not just undeveloped, it's that their wealth is being extracted. It's underdeveloped. So here we go. The basic elements of the theory of underdevelopment are historical account of the underdeveloped societies, right? The underdevelopment is a result of their relationship with the developed societies. Development and underdevelopment are two aspects of the same system. You can't have developed societies without undeveloped societies. Just like you can't have Elon Musk without millions of homeless people. It's the same system. The same system that makes millions of homeless people also makes Elon Musk. Okay. Underdevelopment, dependency, and world systems are the names of the same theory. This is a theory which presents a historical account of the relationship of dependency of the less developed countries on the rich European ones. So, Frank is of the view that the world capitalist system involves both development and underdevelopment as the two aspects of the same system. This relationship is found not only between the rich metropolitan countries of the West and the poor satellite countries of the world, but within a country too, where the hinterland supplies to the city and is exploited by it. In the global economic system, according to Frank, metropolitan countries develop by expropriating the economic surpluses of the satellites and perpetuate their underdevelopment. They suck out the wealth from the other countries. So it's not that they're poor, it's that their wealth is being sucked out. Frank has made a periodic presentation of the history of the world system. Both the processes of development and underdevelopment commenced in the mercantile period, 1500s to 1770, carried through into the industrial capitalism, 1770 to 1870, and culminated in imperialism, 1870 to 1930s. Throughout the process, the colonies, semi-colonies, and neo-colonies existed primarily for the benefit of the capitalist metropolis, and as a direct result, became underdeveloped. So what that means is that's tying into why we have this massive immigration into the United States. It's because the United States is engaged in massive amounts of underdevelopment of South and Central America. Like, we do this on purpose to them. We do this the United States does this on purpose to them. Most undocumented migrants crossing the United States southern border come from three small countries: El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Known collectively as Central America's Northern Triangle, these countries will receive an outsized amount of attention from U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's incoming administration. Because, like I said, the main drivers of forced migration from the Northern Triangle, lack of jobs, weak citizen security, and bad governance, are the same ones that fuel the phenomenon in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Economic growth can help reduce migration. Evidence suggests that interest in emigrating drops significantly when a country's GNP per capita reaches about $8,000. Guatemala and El Salvador currently have a GNP per capita of around $4,000, with Honduras further behind at about $2,500. So we have to massively develop these nations if we want to stop a bunch of their people from coming over here. Not that I don't love all these people. I love them. I love them. Central America is great. I should go visit sometimes. I really should. Yeah, right. I'm not rich. But like, it's awful that they have to endure such hardships and they have to leave their homes. If we can help them build their homes to be great, they wouldn't have to leave and they wouldn't have to have this long hardship, right? And like, I'm having a hard enough time dealing with the Nazis here, right? Like, I'm not even sure you want to come here, but you're more than welcome, right? Sure, come along. But if we can help you make your home better so you don't have to leave, then that would probably be better for everybody. But, you know, that's just me. Okay. And then stolen kids. Jeff Sessions' impeded inquiry into the role in Trump's family separation policy. So Jeff Sessions is involved in kidnapping kids on the border. He separated Trump's administration hardline policy that separated thousands of children from their parents on the border. Sessions declined to be interviewed by investigators. He's like, oh, you want to find out more? No, thank you. I don't want to talk to you. Because he's in big trouble. He helped them make orphans. Basically, it's child trafficking. The Trump administration engaged in child trafficking with brown children. The thing that QAnon was talking about, that's what Trump did. Sessions was one of the Trump administration's most senior officials who devised and implemented the family separation policy. A second senior Justice Department official, Edward O'Callaghan, was the principal associate deputy attorney general. They refused to answer. Rod Rosenstein made misleading statements to them that understated and obscured his role. Everyone lied about how they stole kids. As a result of his refusal by Sessions and O'Callaghan, they missed the whole deal. The inspector general missed the whole thing. And more than 3,000 kids were made orphans. And many kids were held in terrible conditions. Yeah, this guy is terrible. All right. So if we can hold on to make it to a multiracial democracy, it's gonna be amazing, and we can do it. But oh god, it's gonna be tough. We gotta be real about stuff. We can't be sugarcoating stuff. When I keep saying that Donald Trump has to be tried for treason, and if he's guilty, executed, I'm not saying it to be silly or to be outrageous. I'm saying it because it's the truth. It's a fact. You need to crush this insurrection. I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not winning friends doing this. I'm not, people think I'm crazy, and I'm losing access to a lot of my social media accounts because of it. But it's the truth. Deal with it. And if you don't execute Donald Trump for treason under the law, you run the risk of Putin doing it and winning a big PR victory over the United States by saying that not only did they get Donald Trump to destroy the United States, but then they got rid of him when they were done with him. You can't let Putin do that. You can't let him get that kind of victory. We gotta do it before Putin does. Alrighty then. I mined out half my pickaxe. That's pretty good. Cleared out 3 chunks. Well done. What is that thing there? Oh. An aberration. Okay. I think that's pretty good for now. And then my kitty cat comes up. What's up, my kitty cat? He's saying, yeah, dude, you're done. Get up. Give it up, Robert. You're done. You're done for today. You're done for tonight. You blew all your slides already. All right. All right, my kitty cat. Okay. Well, America, then I will see you another time. Yeah, this might be tired. And I'm pretty tired of doing this. But this is my biggest pew-pew, right? I don't have any bigger gun than this. This thing. This is how I communicate with people. I have no other social interaction. It's awful. So, all right, America, until next time, peace.